Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Hall with AARP Missouri, and I'd like to welcome you to Flexibility and Function. This is our fourth class of an 8-week series created and led by Tyler Ferguson. Now, if this is your first time in class, our aim is for all of us to gain flexibility and have some fun while we're doing it. Those gains will take a little bit of work, but Tyler is going to take us through that in just a minute. You may think because this is kind of a slower workout that it's not a real workout, but this kind of movement is something that will enhance flexibility and function that will contribute to your success in other physical activities you take on, right? It's like a prerequisite. The more flexible you are, the more you can do other things. So sometimes this slow and controlled movement is more challenging and can be more beneficial than a faster one. AARP Missouri believes that offering classes like this gives more people a chance to participate. Though we also do have in-person things, we have walks and hikes and bike rides that you can find on our website. However, if a virtual class is more convenient for some of you, for example, if you're a caregiver, or maybe you're watching this later on our YouTube channel, whatever works so you can participate when it's more convenient for you. However, and whyever you participate, we are glad to have you here and hope that this helps enhance your commitment to healthy, active living. This is a great foundational class. Now, you can find many of our other previous fitness classes on Missouri's YouTube channel that has a new and shorter web address, which is awesome. It's youtube.com/@AARPMO. Now, this class is suitable for many levels of fitness. However, you know your own limitations. Please do not try to go beyond what you know is right for you. If you have any concerns, check with your doctor before participating in this or any other AARP fitness offering. In addition to our online fitness classes, AARP also has resources for caregivers, up-to-date COVID-19 information about home modification and technology information, as well as other upcoming activities on our website at aarp.org/nearyou. We have lots of activities going on and volunteer opportunities to make a difference in your community. There are options to volunteer virtually or in person, or volunteer regularly, or maybe just once in a while. Please check our website, aarp.org/Missouri, to find out more. Now I'm going to turn this back over to our instructor, Tyler Ferguson. Tyler, let the fun and function begin.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Welcome back. Those of you that have been here before and those of you that are new today, it's great to have you on board. There's nothing we'll do today that you can't follow along and do with us. First, we're going to ground a little bit. So I've tilted up my screen a little bit more than I wanted to. Let's just ground through the feet a little bit. So bring your feet about hips distance apart and do your best to align your toes forward to the front of the space. Be mindful of where your screen is that you're looking at today. Notice if you have to crick your neck or really gaze up to see the screen. And I'm going to try to give you these mindful cues to find more alignment in your neck. And we want to find that neck alignment right now. So grounding down through the feet, standing up tall, pretend like you have maybe a grapefruit between your chin and your chest. So you have some nice space there. And then let your eyes just drift forward to the furthest point in the room that's at your eye level. That's going to be your eye gaze. And what happens as a result is your neck stays in alignment with the eye gaze cue that I give you. So if we were bent over like this, our eye gaze is going to be down to the ground, back of the neck stays long, as opposed to looking up at your computer and cranking your neck. So be aware of that eye gaze cue that I give so that we have neck alignment. The trick to doing that, it's tempting to look at the screen the whole time. So the trick is to look at the screen when you don't understand and then get your eye gaze back into alignment and try to listen to the cues. Diane talked about this workout being a preparatory workout. I'm trying to help you find your body and become more in touch and united and autonomous with movement in your body. So our feet are down into the floor. Take a moment, let the hands relax down by the sides. Shoulders draw down away from the ears and feel. Feel the big toe mound of the foot. Feel the piggy toe mound. That's where it inserts into the foot. And then notice your distribution of weight in those two places? And can you even it out? Do you notice that you're more on the big toe or more on the piggy toe? Can you even it out? Now bring your awareness to your heel. Feel the inside edge of your heel and the outside edge of your heel, and do the same thing. Notice where the weight is. Try to even it out. And then feel the 4 points of your foot: big toe mound, piggy toe mound, inside, outside edge of the heel. Good. Now we'll build from the bottom up. As you travel up the leg, notice the tendency to lock out, to pull the knees back in space. You don't want to do that. You just want to relax. Look at my knees real quick. They're pulled back, they're relaxed. See that tiny little micro bend? That's all you're doing, is just allowing that little micro bend in the knees. And then notice where your hips are. We sit down a lot, so a lot of times we can be kind of hinged like this. So let the front of your hips push open and push forward. And then my last thing, my last cue, it's my favorite, is our measuring sticks cue. So you're going to find some bones in your rib. Just find a place for your thumbs to feel bones in your ribs, and then let your pinky find the top of your hip. So if you think about your pelvis, the top of your pelvis, that's the iliac crest, just create your measuring sticks here. And then notice if you slouch, see how the thumbs and fingers come together as you slouch? So I want you to stand tall, create space between the thumbs and fingers. And this is a really nice tool to use if you're sitting in a chair and you notice you're slouching in a chair, or even slouching while you're driving. So get your measuring sticks, push down through those 4 points of the feet to lengthen the crown of the head up nice and tall. Now pretend you have a beach ball between your legs and start to press the beach ball together. You might feel some leg muscles turn on, and then maybe you can even squeeze your glutes together or engage your glutes a little bit. Right, we'll start from there. Now go ahead and open up your fingers wide. Face your palms to the front of the room, shrug your shoulders up into your ears, and then press your hands down away. I did that the backwards. I want your backs of your hands to the front of the room. That's what I want. Shoulders come up, and then externally rotate, end with the palms forward, shoulders down. Let's do that a couple of times. Now, we probably all live with our shoulders too close to our ears. Not everybody, but a lot of us. So even though we're shrugging our shoulders up into our ears, we're just creating a place where we can feel what it feels like to take the shoulders down away from the ears. And even though I'm cueing your shoulders here, what I want you to feel is your scapula, your shoulder blade moving down your back, depressing. Last time, inhale, shoulders up, exhale, shoulders down. So moving with our breath is a reminder to breathe when we move. Creating space between the shoulders and an ear, that's a nice thing to visit during the daytime. All right, take your arms out to the side like a T. You're going to blade your fingers together like so, and then you're going to rotate your thumbs back, your palms up. Feel yourself broaden across your chest, and then reach the fingertips to the opposite edges of the room, and then bring your hands back down. I'm going to come close to the screen. Now, I can rotate my wrist from the elbow and not feel anything in my shoulder. I want you to feel the shoulder joint, feel the humerus move in the shoulder joint as we do this. Inhale, palms up, reach and broaden, exhale back. Inhale, broaden, exhale. Now I'm overemphasizing the breath just to give you a cue and a reminder to breathe. Now, as you're doing this external rotation at the shoulder joint, can you stay active in your feet? Can you draw your inner thighs together, engage the glutes? Stay nice and active. Last time, rotation, then bring your hands back to center. We're going to go back to the scapula like we did before. This time, bring your hands together, shoot and round. So send your arms long. Your scapula are going to move away from each other, away from the spine. Your gaze is at your thumbs. Then separate the hands, palms face each other. Bring the forearms close to the ribs, send the elbows back and up, broaden across the chest. Shoot and round. Round at your back, separate the shoulder blades. Then as you bring the hands back towards your armpit, see if you can initiate the movement at the shoulder blades, bringing the shoulder blades closer together. So can you feel this movement from the perspective of the shoulder blades? As the elbows travel back, bring shoulder blades together, let elbows follow. A couple more times. Connect breath to the movement. Exhale. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale. Shoulder blades together. And then let that go. Any of these exercises, the order that you want to do them in, or just one exercise while you're brushing your teeth, that's fine. Let's get back into our spine. Bring your hands across your chest like so. Think about the measuring sticks. Lengthen ribs away from pelvis and come up and over to one side. Good. So you're going to feel a stretch in the outer side, the shoulder that's more on top. That's the side of the body you're going to feel the stretch in. Bring yourself back up to center and take yourself up and over. The up part is taking the ribs away from the pelvis, up and over to the other side. Now, if you have any shoulder injuries, you can't lift your arms above your head. That's a common injury. Stay right here. Otherwise, bring your hands up overhead, maybe grab opposite elbows or grab where it feels safe. Lengthen, pull the rib cage away from the pelvis, come up and over. Now notice my hips. They're stacked right above the heels. I'm not countering with my hips to the other direction, which feels really great and we're going to do later. But right now we're just keeping it in the thoracic spine or the rib cage spine. Come up together, up to the center and over to the other side. For some more engagement, this long side that I'm stretching, the hand that's on top, push down through that same foot. Back up to center one more time, a little bit more quickly. Exhale over to the side. Inhale on your return, move at your pace, your breath, your inhale. And exhale over to the other side. Back up to center, we're going to add on now. Again, lengthen. Side bend, but notice here, I'm going to move my hands. You don't have to. My sternum is facing forward. Now I'm going to rotate my sternum toward the floor so that my shoulders square more to the floor, not the front of the room. So think about wringing out your spine and then rotate back to the front of the room. You're still in that side bend. Back up to center. And then over to the other side. Lift and lengthen. Find your length. Think about rotating the sternum. The eye gaze follows the rotation of the chest. Only rotate to a degree that feels safe into your body, safe in your body. Rotate back up to center and back up to center. That felt pretty good. One more. Let's do one more. Yeah. So twisting our spine. We're moving our spine in all of these directions. These lateral flexion, this twisting, rotation, wringing out our spine. And you can think about this as each vertebra in the spine, and think about that segmentation of each vertebra, that rotation that happens, trying to get more mobility in the spine, and then just more connection and awareness of what's going on in the body. Back up to the center, release your arms down. Good job. Now, we want to come to a straddle stance, so we're going to toe heel our feet to get there safely. So toes out, heels out. I'm wider. Toes out, heels out. I'm wider. Toe heel yourself to a place where you feel safe in how wide your feet are. You could always keep a chair right by for balance. That's perfectly fine to do. Hands are going to be on the hips. Toes are pointing forward if at all possible. And you can have a soft bend in the knees. Bring your hands together in sphere of tension. I'm just going to walk forward for a second and show you. So the fingers are pressing against one another. This is a really nice stretch for your fingers, especially if you're feeling some arthritis. So go ahead and press the fingers together, but not the palms. And get that nice finger stretch. Feel that sphere of tension. Good. And then bring your hands back to your hips, because I'm going to cue this from the hips first. First thing I want you to do is take your hips, hinge at the hip, and send your seat back behind your heels, and then bring your chest toward the floor, and your back wants to be flat here. And then only hinge as far as it feels safe to you. The shoulders will probably be higher than the hips. Eye gaze is now down to the floor. So if you're scrunching and looking up at the screen, you have enough information. Get the back of the neck long, eye gaze to the floor. Now push through the heels. Draw your belly button in as you hinge back up. So we're maintaining that distance. Do this with me for a second. Just round. Stand here and round. See how the rib cage gets closer to the pelvis? That's not our goal. We're not flexing the spine right now. We want to keep the space between the rib cage and the pelvis, keep the length in the spine. The spine is not what's moving. It's the hips that are moving. Spine stays flat, heart, chest is proud, pulls forward, scapula coming backwards. You're going to move into that hinge again. Maybe take your hands off your hips and find that sphere of tension. And then again, back of the neck is long, eye gaze is to the floor here. Take your sphere of tension and hold it under your chest, or start to press your fingers forward, but do it really slow. And notice how when the arms start to reach and get long, it takes a little bit more core activation. Draw your belly button in, pull your rib cage in and together. And then if it just gets too long for you and you start to use your back muscles, then make this lever of the sphere of tension, pull it in, make this lever shorter, or even release, place your hands on the hips. Wherever you are, let's place the hands on the hips, push through the heel, and hinge yourself back up. All right, let's toe heel the feet in, circle the hips a little bit, circle them in the other direction. And then we're going to keep working in the straddle stance today. So we're going to toe heel the feet back out and find your straddle. So even that little ankle mobility, that ability to adjust this way rather than pushing off and trying to adjust these big steps. This is the safe way to adjust. Okay, we're going to bend one knee, keep the other leg long, just a little bend. Straighten out that knee, bend the other knee. Keep the opposite leg long. Straighten that out. Now, if you have pain doing this in the knee and the patella doing this, I'm going to try to give you a little cue. Rather than bending the knee super duper forward and lifting that heel, think about sending the hip back and then bending the knee. You couldn't see my heel lift, could you? Send your hip back and bend the knee. Keep it more in the backside, more in the glute, more in the heel on the ground. Straighten the leg back out. Bend the opposite leg. Hips go back. Spine is long. And then you're going to lean into the opposite leg. So maybe you're getting an inside stretch here. Maybe you're getting the strength of a single leg squat here. Now press back up. We'll keep moving that way. Lunge, press up, lunge, or stay with me here, put a hand on both legs, try to switch. So you're not pressing up every time. Your choice. If it feels safer and better to press up every time, do that. Other time, you're just going to stay right down here, low with me, and you're just shifting. One leg reaches long, the other knee bends, moves into a little bit of flexion. Back is long. You're really working the core here to keep the heart and chest forward as you move back and forth between these lunges. Now, if you want to take a rest, take a rest. If you want to work a little bit harder and it feels safe, you can get a little bit lower. If you have a block or a chair, you can work through your block and chair. That's just getting you a little bit deeper into the stretch. Do you need to go here? No. Will it make you better? No. It's just giving you an option if you're more used to this movement. Let's come to the middle, wherever you are, however low or high you are. Put the weight in your heels, draw your belly button in, come back up, toe heel your feet together. We're going to do one more move with our legs straddled. This is where the chair comes in. I'm going to demonstrate it like so. If you don't have a chair, it's okay. You could use blocks. If you have yoga blocks, you could use a coffee table, the side of a couch. Let me show you the exercise. Actually, I'm going to do it here, this direction. So we're going to toe heel the feet wide again. Get pretty close to your chair. Hip hinge, right? Flat back, hip hinge. Place your hands on the chair. Now soften your knees just a little bit, just so they're not locked out. Soften them a little bit. Good. Now place your right hand under your nose, grab your right rib cage and rotate. Pull it, let the belly button rotate, and then your left arm is going to reach behind your head. Push down through the right arm to rotate the rib cage and breathe. So this is not about the shoulder or the arm, it's about the belly button and the rib cage rotating. Rotate right back down to that chair. Left hand goes down under the nose. Grab your rib cage, so that's the first thing that rotates. The shoulders will follow. Then you can place your hand behind your head, push through this hand if that feels good, and rotate a little bit more. Breathe. And if this works in your body, let's go one more time. Right hand goes down. Rotate. Keep breathing. Inhalation here. Exhalation here. Left hand goes down. Right hand grabs the rib cage. It's just a cue to help you get the rotation in the trunk. Breathe in. Come back. Toe heel your feet together. And then push down through the heels. Draw your belly in. Push down to rise up to standing. Good job. We're going to do one more little rotational exercise from standing. This is like a qigong move or a tai chi move. We're going to throw rocks. It's called throwing rocks. So grounding through the feet, just throw your rocks. Throw some rocks. Throw. And then just soften up and let go of the idea of doing it right. Let your arms feel long. And then let the weight of your hands pull and tug at the tissues on your shoulders. So you'll notice I have a little rotation in the hips. I'm peeling up on my opposite heel. You don't have to do that, but it's okay to do that. But just a little bit of organic movement and some reinforcing that trunk rotation. It's important to have mobility in the upper body. Good. 3, 2, and 1. Come back to standing. Okay. I forgot to do one more straddle one. So let's go back out to our straddle. Maybe not go as wide. And then you can see in my feet, my toes are going to be turned out on this one. Feel free to use the back of a chair if that feels better to you, holding onto the back of the chair. Knees are both going to bend at the same time. So we were working in a lunge before, that's one bent knee. Now we're working with 2 bent knees. Now the important thing to notice here is the tendency is to go in, right? The outside edges of my foot roll up, I'm jamming it into my big toe. So whoop, pull your knees wide, draw your belly button in and squeeze your glutes, send your tail long to pull your knees open wide, and then push up. When you push up, push through your heels, squeeze your inner thighs, squeeze your glutes, get long. Pull the knees apart as you bend them, come down, and then drive through the heels, squeeze inner thighs together, squeeze your glutes at the top, stand tall. Good. Maybe you make a sphere of tension here, working on the fingers. And then connect your breath with your movement. Inhale, lower. You don't have to have your hands here. You can hold onto a chair for balance. Exhale, press up. Inhale, lower. Think when you lower about creating tension, about pulling those knees wide. Press up. Think inner thighs come together, not knees come together so much. Knees pull, inner thighs press in. 5. You can be like Dancy, like a ballerina. You can do whatever you want with your arms. Have fun with it. Be delicate or gentle or flowy or artistic. Yeah, good. Maybe you reach your arms up overhead if that shoulder mobility feels good to you. Make whatever shapes feel good in your body. If you can see yourself in the screen, make shapes that are pleasing to see in the screen. Final one, let's hold it down. Come to a level, a depth that you can hold for a second. Now think tail long, belly button up and in. Lift one heel, lower. Hold on to a chair if you like. Lift one heel and lower. Stay with me here if that works for you. If you need to straighten out your legs and come out of it, that's fine too. Keep thinking ribs in, belly button in, nice and stable in the core as you work at lifting and lowering heels. We're gaining some strength in the ankles here. You're trying to control the lowering down phase rather than boom, just knocking it down. Good. Final one, push down to rise up, toe heel yourself back in. Bob's your uncle. Okay, we're going down to the floor, tabletop position. So the option or the alternative for tabletop is this position. That kind of looks like a tabletop. So that's where you're going to be if you're not going to the floor. Otherwise, let's meet down on the floor. Tabletop position. Now, if you'd like to put some towels or a blanket under your knees here, feel free to do so. And if your wrists get tired, you can go fists for wrists, or you can even come down on your forearm. So make good solutions there. Notice my hips are over my knees or a little back. That's putting the weight more in my legs. If my hips were forward like this, I'm working a lot harder in my shoulder and upper body. So the further back your hips are, the less you're working in your upper body. We're going to do a cat-cow here. So pressing around your back up to the ceiling, and then notice the chin comes more to the chest. The eye gaze is kind of the space in the middle of your hands and knees. And then you're going to do the opposite motion with the spine. So you're going to lift your tail and get all sassy in your tail. You're going to lift your eye gaze. If you had a apple under your chin, you would drop it because you're taking the chin away from the chest. And then the rib cage is coming down to the floor. Can you see that? Yeah, good. So now you're just going to move between those two places. And then notice how this movement feels familiar to you because we did some of these movements standing, right? If you think about the upper body, there's your cat is your reach. And then think about when you pulled your elbows in, that was your pull. So feel how the shoulder blades come together here. When you go into cat, shoulder blades separate, move apart, but we're just adding the pelvis now. We're adding a little anterior tilt. That's a forward tilt of the pelvis. That's what you're going to feel in this cow shape. And then a posterior tilt or a tuck of the pelvis. And then come to neutral. This can be a little fun experiment. I'm going to keep my ribs out of it, and I'm just going to tuck and round my pelvis here. So I'm trying to keep it less in the ribs, more in the pelvis. And that can be very, very challenging for people to separate the ribs from the pelvis. So maybe that's where you are today, just working on that. If you have that, then go ahead and tuck and round your pelvis and then work your way up your spine. So put your mind in your spine and then try to work each vertebra until you get into cat pose. Once you're in cat, go back down to your pelvis, the lowest part you can find in your body. Start to lift that and then work your way back up your spine, one vertebra at a time, until you get to the part of your rib cage between your shoulder blades. The part of your spine between your shoulder blades. Try that one more time. Tuck at the tail, work your way up the spine all the way between the shoulders. Don't get frustrated if you can't even find this at first. This can be homework. And then lift at the pelvis and work your way up your spine. Okay, if you're on the chair, go ahead and stand up. If you're on the ground, give yourself some wiggles, maybe come into a child's pose, or just take a shape that feels restorative and restful for you for a moment, so we get off of our wrists. That's the goal here. Now we're going to do an abdominal exercise next. It's going to be a hands and knees exercise. You can do it on the chair, just like I showed you, that same stance as before. You can do it on a wall, right? Knees are a little bit bent, hands on the wall. Here's our goal in this exercise. Rather than coming to neutral tabletop quadruped position, I'm going to encourage you to walk the hands forward, send the hips forward, more into a modified plank. Now notice right away, push the ground away, separate the shoulders. That's going to help you work your core and support this pose more. Now inhale into the back of your heart. Try to breathe into that space, expand the back of your heart, and then when you exhale, pull your belly button in, rib cage together, exhale through the mouth. 2 more times on your own. Inhale into the back of your heart. Exhale, ribs come together. Exhale through the mouth. Now this should feel hard. And if you want to come out of it and rest, do that. And after about 3, you're going to want to rest for a second. So if you're into it, if you're feeling it, finish up your reps. If you want to rest, you can do that too. I just want to give you a little cue. By taking that deep inhale and that big exhale through the mouth, you can get a little lightheaded. So be mindful if you start to feel dizzy or lightheaded. Okay? So you want to breathe in a way that feels control, like you're under control. And we're trying to work these intercostal muscles, these muscles of respiration when we're exhaling. So when I say bring your ribs together, on an inhale, the ribs come apart. On an exhale, they come together. Let's try that one more round. Remember, you can come down to forearms if your wrists are not happy. Extended, modified plank. Notice if you're slouching, the shoulders are together. Bam, press the ground away. Breathe into your back heart space, that cat space. Exhale, ribs come in, belly comes in. Inhale, expand. Exhale, ribs and belly in. Final time, inhale, expand. Exhale, ribs and bellies in, and then press yourself into a position that feels like you're getting some rest. We're going to do one more thing on our hands and knees, I believe. Yeah, we can do one more thing on our hands and knees. This is a fancy little move. We're going to do bird dog to side plank. And if your chair is stable, you can do it in the chair. I'm going to demonstrate from the floor first, but I'll show you how to do it in a chair. Quadruped position, tabletop. Right leg extends long. Good. Now, remember, we're not opening up the hip. We're trying to keep that hip nice and closed down as we find extension through the right leg. Press down through the left shin, draw the belly button in, left arm reaches. You can do that right from your chair. We've done that before. Right leg reaches long, left arm reaches long. Now, bring your left arm back down to the ground, pivot your left shin over, and bring your right leg in line with your left shin and left hand. Rotate open into side plank. You can lift this top leg if you want, but you're really trying to get this rib cage to press up into your side plank. Here's what it looks like from this side. Side plank. Good, that's a modified side plank. If you're wondering about doing it On the chair, you're just going to pivot and side plank on a chair. Okay, there's your side plank on the chair. Hopefully that makes sense. Everybody come back down to your quadruped at tabletop. We'll find that on the other side. Maybe push yourself off of your wrists and give yourself a little wrist therapy. Take your palms long, draw your fingers back. Take your palms long, draw your fingers back. Do that a couple of times. Stretching all the muscles of the forearms. We could do a whole class on wrist therapy. I'm not even kidding you. There's so many great exercises for your wrists. All right, let's do bird dog on the other side. Quadruped position. You have fists for wrists. You have options. Otherwise, take your fingers wide, palm the floor a little bit. Left leg goes back this time. Now, how do we support the left leg? We use our core. We draw the belly button in. We press down through the right shin, and we squeeze and turn on that left glute. Right arm reaches forward. Eye gaze right down at the mat in the space in front of your fingers. Feel how the back of your neck is long when you take your eye gaze down to the mat. That's the importance of eye gaze, rather than cranking and looking at the computer. That's what we don't want. Long back of the neck, long eye gaze. Right hand comes back down to the mat. Pivot your right shin, drop your left leg, and peel open to your side plank. Now, the tissue that we're trying to get is this bottom rib tissue. So rather than letting it kind of move closer to the floor, pretend like somebody's got a pitchfork under there and you're pulling that flesh up off the floor. You can raise this top leg if you want a little bit of extra help. Breathe. Is everybody breathing? It's an important part of the workout. Remember how you were here last time and I showed you how to do it from a chair? Come out of this whenever you want. Hands and knees, go back down to the floor. Everybody come down to your backside. Now, if you don't want to go down to the floor, just sit in your chair. We're going to do bridges. If you're sitting in your chair, when we bridge and lift up, you're just going to push and lift your seat out of the chair and hover right above the seat. If you're on the ground for bridge, arms down to the sides, push your feet into the ground, lift your hips up to the ceiling. Notice what's working here. You don't want to feel strain in your chin, and your neck, and your shoulders. Open up, stick your tongue out, relax your jaw. You want the work to be down in your lower body. So squeeze that beach ball between your inner thighs, turn on those glutes, open up the space of the hips. If you're in the chair, you're sitting and hovering above the chair like in chair pose, and then bring your hips down to the floor, tap the floor, drive the hips up, squeeze and hold. Sit your hips back down to the floor, tap the floor, drive your hips up, squeeze and hold, squeeze that beach ball, lower back down. Keep going for 10. If you're in the chair, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, stay connected. 4, you're squeezing your beach ball between your inner thighs if you're in the chair. 3, connect your breath to your movement. 2, and 1. Stand tall or keep yourself on the floor. Now we worked on those get-ups. I want everyone to pay attention right now. These get-ups are that move that I'm in love with that I'm not sure if it translates in this environment. So I want you to pay attention to this exercise, and then at the end of class, give me some feedback. Tell me if this translates. Legs and hips are bent. I can show this on the wall, but I can't do them both at the same time. Arms are down to the side, not out like to a T, but kind of down to the side. Right arm reaches and sweeps up to the ceiling, and then across to the outside of the left knee, heel up like you're doing a little crunch, and then lower back down. 2 more times. Sweep the fingertips up to the ceiling, lift the head, then the shoulders, reach across towards the outside of the left knee, and come back down. Final time. Arm goes first, then shoulder, then head peels up. That's the order. And come back down. Pause there. We're going to add on, maybe give the screen a look. Reach across the body. When you can't lift any further, drop the knees, push through the right leg, same foot as the arm that's lifted, and the opposite elbow, and push up. And then come right back down to the floor. Knees come up. So let's try that again. We'll break it down. Sweep the fingertips across the ceiling, reach to the outside edge, lift the head and shoulder. Now drop the knees, push through right heel, left elbow, come up, and then come back down. One more time. As you come back down, notice the knees come back up. Final time. The trick here is not to drop the knees too early. Lift and reach, then drop, push up. A smooth, organic movement. Go ahead and press yourself up to a seat for a second. Now, what we're trying to avoid are jerky movements. We're trying to avoid that momentum, right? We're trying to get this connection where it's just nice and smooth, and we distribute the work. Let's go to the other side. Back down. Knees are bent, arms down to the side, left arm sweeps, and we're just going to do that prep, that prime movement. Head and shoulder comes up, knees don't drop yet. We don't press under the elbow yet. And that's just helping you prime those oblique and abdominal muscles. Our spine is moving into a little bit of flexion here. And then think about the order of operation when you're peeling up off the ground. So first, the hand breaks the plane of the midline. Shoulder peels up, then the head peels up. Let's add on here. Left fingertips reach across, reach outside the right knee, drop the knees, push through the left foot and right elbow, and come up into this modified side plank. Come right back down. When you're coming down, you have to do a little crunch. You have to bring the ribs to the pelvis and pull the belly button in. So you're feeling the core work as you come back down. Knees come up. Try that a couple more times. Reach across. Once you can't go any further, drop the knees. Equally push through right elbow and left foot to come up. Breathe while you're doing it. Crunch back down. As you go down, knees come back up as a little counterbalance. Sweep across. Drop knees, push into the right elbow. It's a lot of timing as much as it is strength, coordination and timing. Final time, reach across. Now I told you that I'd show you how to do this out of a chair, but just for time-wise, I'll show you at the end of class, okay? We'll enter our comments time. From here, press yourself up. Now look how conveniently we are into our shin box. We do know how to do shin box from a chair. Just sit with your feet wide in a chair. Today, we're going to advance our shin box. If you're newer to shin box, maybe play right here, just moving one knee in at a time. And then you can just go to the other leg and play with that other leg. So maybe just sit and watch. Otherwise, today, we're going to go one knee in, one knee out. Maybe you lean back, maybe you sit up. You should never feel pain in the knees. We don't want sharp pain in the knees. So if you got to get out of that, do it. Otherwise, can you tolerate the stiffness and the discomfort? Can you move in this shin box shape? Do your feet have to be exactly like mine? No. They can be more here. They can be more here. Whatever works in your body, just to get this internal rotation and external rotation. All right. Hands go back behind, knees come back up to center. Take your legs over to the other side. I'm going to get up. You stay right where you are. Play on the other side. My chair people, remember, hands are supporting you back behind in the chair. Feet are wide. And then you can either just feather, work on your internal rotation, or you can take both knees. We've got internal rotation here, external rotation here, and you can play with your trunk moving in this. Hands go back, shin box back up to the center. Take your feet wide and then move to the other side. So hopefully that chair cue is working for you. If you're down on the floor and you're shin boxed, over to the right side, bring yourself back up to center. This is the part where we're going to get up off the floor today. So get up off the floor, whatever way serves you. I'm going to do a shin box, step in front, roll onto that back leg, and come up. We're going to break that down next week. All right, we're standing. I'll give you some time to come to standing to finish out our work. I meant to keep you on the floor. If you're great at getting back down on the floor, you can do that. If you have a chair, let's just start with today's stretch in a chair. You're going to bend one leg, send one leg long, lift and lengthen up out of the spine, hold on your chair, and just hinge forward like so. That's your level 1. Level 2, if you can cross this leg over, you're going to lift and lengthen and hinge forward. 2 options, 1 for a cross leg option, 1 if you can't cross your legs. If you don't have a chair and you're super comfortable getting down to the floor, go ahead. You might use the back of a couch, or you might get back to the shin box shape, cross your leg, and then bring your seat a little bit closer to your foot. That's pretty pretzel-like. Got to have some hip mobility to do that, so it can feel good to press yourself against the couch so this leg can get longer. But bringing your chest towards your thighs, kind of the ticket for the stretch. Let's switch it out. Wherever you are, slowly come up and exit out of your position. Switch your legs. And then always think, lift and lengthen first. We want to hinge at the hips, and then start to bring your chest closer to your thigh. Now, my ankle is in dorsiflexion. So I'm drawing the toes toward the shin and actively pushing to the heel, through the heel, to activate these leg muscles to keep my knee a little bit more stable in this exercise. You can come out of the exercise and then go deeper into the exercise if you wish. Remember, if you are lacking that ability to cross your legs, just bend one knee and then hinge over the opposite leg. It's a little bit different stretch. It's more of a hamstring stretch this way, whereas with a cross-legged way, you're getting more of a hip and potentially piriformis stretch. But hey, as long as we're moving, flowing blood, stretching, we're getting it done. Okay, last exercise. Hinge yourself out of that. If you're in a chair, you're just going to put your toe behind you and stretch out the top of your shin like so. If you're comfortable standing, take your leg, reach it behind you. Tops of the toes are down, not the bottoms of the toes. Tops of the toes are down. And then stretch through that back leg, anterior tibialis stretch. It doesn't matter where that leg goes. It can go way behind you. That takes a little bit more balance than if you just keep it nice and close, hold on to a chair for balance, and then switch yourself out. Get the other side. Foot goes behind, top of the foot goes down. If you're in a chair, just reach behind you in the opposite direction. And then exit and come on out of that stretch. Oh, I have a couple more things for you, but we're going to have to save them until next week. Thanks so much, everyone.